good to have you with us on the 9 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, one more time here on Mirror Now and Urban Debate, I am going to put the spotlight on the state of our economy. Yes, 3 months of lockdown is over. A significant part of our country has been unlocked. So it is time for us to have a conversation about where we stand. What has been the impact of this lockdown? Not only that, let's not forget, even before the COVID hit us, even before this pandemic, India's situation was precarious. And the slowdown had already become a big concern. The lack of jobs or job losses had already become a big talking point. This has just been an additional factor in what was already a tough ride for us in 2020. But I want to now take a step back and break up this conversation into two different parts. To begin that, I first will tell you about the 6 key indicators that have come out in the last few days and what they really tell us about the state of economy. And then, of course, we'll have experts who are going to add to these indicators. Let's just talk about, the various projections that have come out as far as the growth is concerned, the GDP is concerned. Almost everybody now agrees that the Indian economy is likely to contract this year. There is hardly anyone else now that says that from zero to contraction in the economy is the projection for the current year. That's not good news, keeping in mind that just in January 2019, we were still registering a growth of almost 8%. From that to this is a significant and a very quick fall that India is going to look at. It's not just an India problem. COVID has dented economies across the world. It's just going to be a lot more difficult for us. Let's talk about jobs. And a big issue, a talking point, like I said, that has been around the unemployment rate for the month of around June end, was actually about 8.6%. That's not really July, it's June end. If you compare it to what we saw in May, it was above 28%. So it's now coming back to the unemployment rate levels that we saw before the pandemic hit us. It's still concerningly high, and that cannot be taken away. Let's talk about tax collections again. If you see, the GST collection for April to June was down 59% if you compare it to last year. But the collections in this month, that have come out this month for June, are actually much better. Obviously, what we saw in April and May, because that was a complete lockdown period. June is when things started to pick up again, and there was at least some tax collection that the government registered. As far as the stall projects are concerned, now this is a reflection of how things are opening up now after the unlocking began. 45% of the stall projects since March 2020 have now resumed, as per a CMIE report. Petroleum products demand has now hit pre-lockdown levels, so very quickly now in the last 1 month, we've climbed back to those levels. Car sales, well, there was a 49% fall for the month of June in comparison to last year. Keep in mind, last year June was no great sales numbers either which ways for the auto sector. So it's actually worsened even from that level. Now, there is an interesting remark that's coming from the Automobile Association, SIAM, which says it could take 4 years to hit March 2018 sales levels. So I'm going to just put a few questions in front of our experts and break it down into two different parts. Firstly, are we beyond the lockdown and the impact that we saw in April and May? Have we been able to cover that up now? And secondly, what about our longer path to recovery, since we were already in the woods? So here are the questions. Are the green shoots in the economy that many say are visible sustainable? How can India bounce back from the COVID impact? Has the centre's booster package worked or failed, or is it slowly helping? What's going on? and has the Central really addressed the needs of the industry? I've got a great panel this evening. Let's say good evening to Madan Sadhav, is Chief Economist at CARE Ratings, joining us this evening. Dr. Brinda Jagirdar, also Senior Economist. Gopal Agarwal, National Spokesperson for the BJP, and Mr. Raghunathan, Convener for the Consortium of Indian Associations and former National President of AIMO. But first up, I actually want to go across to the Managing Editor of ET Now, Nikunj Dalmia, who's joining us right now. Nikunj, on a daily basis, you're having these conversations from, various participants from the industry to the top voices, economists. What's the sense that you are getting? Has July been better than the last few months, and what should we make of that?
For sure. Well, what you've summed up purely in terms of the data points, I absolutely agree with them that there are a lot of data points which are clearly telling us and indicating us that the Indian economy has not recovered. We are far from any kind of a recovery in the economy. Yes, because the base effect has kicked in, there are some green shoots visible. The monsoon this time is much better than what we anticipated. So, depending on whom you are asking, I guess you will get a different kind of a question. But let me put it this way. The situation which looked terrible, horrible, pathetic, poor, ugly, things on ground are not as bad as what they were looking in the month of March. I mean, during the course of discussion, we'll point about some data points, why markets are going higher, where there are green shoots visible, what exactly is happening to the rural economy. Yes, job losses, urban issues in terms of migration, productivity, everything is there. But for me, I'm an optimistic. I always have a glass full approach. If you would have asked me to judge the economy in the month of March, in the month of April, my view was different. But I've been positively surprised, maybe not on the demand side completely, but on the supply side, on the rural side, on the global side, and also on the interest and the inflation side.
Nikunj, even in February and March, there were some who were saying that we are beginning to see some respite, some green shoots, or at least, perhaps the worst may be over. And then we were hit by COVID, which obviously meant that for, at least 2 full months, there was barely any economic activity, and things just seemed really dark. But do you believe that we will be able to quickly deal with the COVID impact, and then, of course, the larger problem will still remain? Is that what the experts are also telling you?
Well, the sense which I'm getting from companies is that, look, we had a terrible 2019, and the base effect, in a sense, got completely diluted. So this year, both for earnings and for the economy, is going to be in washout year. All kind of economic projections are there that this is going to be the sharpest GDP contraction which we've seen in the history of India, and there is no reason really not to agree with that kind of an assessment. The call you got to take is that what happens to FY22 when interest rates globally are coming down, when oil prices are on our side, when globally there is a lot of liquidity. And let me explain it just for our viewers. When COVID crisis happened, interest rates both globally and locally were very high. Because global central banks have cut interest rates now, the view is that with low interest rates, lot of support coming from global central bankers, little bit of support from RBI, some help handling from the government. Will that really make FY22 or 2021 a better year? I think that is what we need to focus on. That 2020 calendar year is a washout year. It will be remembered in history books as a terrible, horrible, ugly, and a pathetic year. But where do we go from here? Are we likely to see a V-shaped rally? No. Are we likely to see a gradual and a painful recovery? My sense is yes. You've got to divide the economy into 2 parts. Companies which will not survive, or sectors which will not survive, sectors which will revive, and sectors which will flourish. So that's the way of looking at it. There are some companies and some businesses which will be victim of COVID crisis. Some businesses will naturally come back, but they will take some time to accelerate consumer discretionary, auto. But there are some parts of the economy which are doing exceedingly well, whether that is telecom, whether that is parts of IT, whether that is few FMCG companies. So you have to really look at the holistic view, and the holistic view is that this year is a washout year. But given where we stand right now, and given what's happening to global markets, oil prices are low, interest rates are low, you may want to work with an assumption that next year things will not normalize, but things will start picking up. It's an optimistic in me who's speaking like this, but the optimistic in me is of the view that things will look better Terrible will not become good, but terrible will become okay.
Well, you are right there. You are definitely an optimistic, Nikunj, because even when you're saying and using words like a painful recovery and that next year things may not normalize, you are making it sound much better and making me feel good about it. So I understand where you're coming from and what you're saying. But let me take that point across to Mr. Madan Sabnavis. Mr. Sabnavis, there's been quite a bit written about, the indicators that we saw in June that perhaps showed a pent-up demand or showed some green shoots in recovery, depending on who's interpreting it. The interpretation was different. But has that been sustainable? Because today there is a report that says that eBay bills that actually showed an improvement in June and would be a good indicator of how much goods are being transported went down again in the first half of July. Are we being too quick to judge these green shoots?
No, I think definitely we are being quick to judge these green shoots because I think what we saw in the month of June is coming over virtually no economic activity in April. And we should remember that India has a federal structure. The central government says some things. Different states have their own view about the unlock. And I think that's the kind of problem which you're having today. I think what business needs to know is continuity, certainty about what's going to continue. And today we really don't have that. And therefore, we have seen that while if you look at the PMI indicators, for example, they do show that things are less worse than what they were in April and May. So May was slightly better than April, June is slightly better than May, so on and so forth. So therefore, we get a feeling that things are improving. But we should know that at the level of policy, we had unlocked from the central government. Different states are following their own policies. And I think even places like Mumbai, for example, I think Thane and Navi Mumbai have a full lockdown. Various states are saying for 15 days we're closing down. I think this creates a lot of uncertainty, and that's why I think business will continue to be volatile. We cannot expect these kind of so-called green shoots to continue to bloom. We are all talking of a good monsoon. Yes, good monsoon is very good for us because there'll be a good harvest. But just remember that there's been a lot of migration of people from the urban areas to the rural areas. And while we keep hoping that there would be rural recovery in demand, but that may not happen because if we look at the per capita income in agriculture, it's going to actually come down. Higher supplies lead to lower prices, so your incomes could be subdued, and it has to be divided over a larger section of people. So I really don't think that this demand revival is even likely. And like what Nikunj was saying, I think 2020 is a washout. Supply problems will remain because of this uncertainty. I think what business really requires is certainty, and that's not being provided given the federal state of our government.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Raghunathan on that point as well. Mr. Raghunathan, give us a sense of where you see things going from here on, and is it going to be a long-term recovery? Should we still brace ourselves for more business shutdowns, for more job losses before things can start getting better?
Thank you, Tanvi. It's a real cause of concern. Let's understand that the business is like a chain, and every link is very important, whether it is sales, whether it is employees, whether it is material, profitability, everything. And the strength of the chain lies in the weakest link. Today, it seems that every link is weak. Entrepreneurs are fighting a shadow boxing. A shadow boxing, we don't know who is our target. The goalposts are changing. Reference points are changing. From a 5-day cricket match, we came down to 1 day, then 50 overs, then 20 overs. And today, we need to score something like in 7 balls, 40 runs. Under tremendous pressure, we see survival as a most necessity for us now. Oxygens are needed. We understand we have to help ourselves to survive. We need to stay focused. Some industries, some segments are likely to revive, but according to us, the worst is yet to come. When I say this in terms of economy, let me explain to you why. We did not have any manufacturing at the last 10 days of the March, entire April and entire May. If that be the case, wherever the industries have opened up at least, excepting the metros in this country from June onwards, the June business must have been assuming a lakh GST revenue a month. For about 2.5 months, we should have done about 2.5 lakhs crores. But since majority of the main industries were non-functional, we did only about 80,000 crore, which is not very encouraging. We are executing the orders what we had in the month of March. 30% of the orders have already been cancelled because of we are not able to give commitment of delivery. Materials problem, manpower problem, money problem, all what we are now accessible is to loans. We are worried. Have you heard that we are fearing that 50% of the MSMEs will go bankrupt by December? We are concerned. And the NPA may touch about 30 to 35% by December. We are worried. In every aspect, we are concerned and worried. But as an entrepreneur, we have no choice to keep a bright face, a smiling face, optimistic face. But that alone doesn't help us. Somewhere we need to bite the bullet. Those who are not able to continue must be given an honorable exit. Those who can prosper but are not able to prosper must be given a hand to come up. Those who are continuing to do well must look at a different opportunity. It's not an easy task. It's a tough task. It's not just like reviving. Some people experts are saying 2021 must be written off. What do you mean? 1 year written off is not that easy for a micro industry. Today, under the new reclassification, 90% of the industries in this country belong to micro industries. If even 3 months of non-productivity, we are finished. We are not able to breathe. Cash flows are not lasting. Monies are not coming forward from the companies where we have supplied. No further orders are seen. We are worried about August month now itself. How can we function? We are also human beings. And COVID is also shooting up. Every day we are catching up with the highest number. We don't know whether it is...
Mr. Raghunathan, if I can ask you this question, an entire relief package has been announced by the government. A lot of this is obviously to do with monetary support, with loan borrowing support, including a guarantee from the government itself. Is that not helping? To what extent are we seeing that at least give some support to the industry?
Tanvi, let us understand. The schemes what has been announced at the moment, according to the government itself, will only help about 47 lakhs MSMEs out of a total of about 6 crore MSMEs. Now, even in that 45 lakhs or 47 lakhs of MSMEs, on the 50th day as we are talking now, we have crossed only about 17% of that 47 lakhs crores, 47 lakhs MSMEs having got the money in hand. Now, keep giving loan alone. It cannot be a solution. Please understand, what do I do with just the money alone? What I need the money is to do profitable venture so that I repay. How do I make profit out of the money? Today I borrowed money. Let there be a 9% interest or 9.5% interest, doesn't matter, but I borrow the money and I spend on my expenditure. How do I repay it? So my concern is already the loans are not being able to be repaid. I am worried. We must understand. So there are a lot of other category, almost about 95% of the MSMEs are still looking for the relief. We are awaiting. In the existing loan scheme of 3 lakhs crore, there has been certain pointers which we have highlighted, which needs to be relaxed. There is more of a misunderstanding by the stakeholders concerned rather than the understanding of the scheme. Each NBFC is talking in a different wavelength. Even today, we are receiving complaints. Some NBFCs are saying those who availed moratoriums in the last 3 months will not be eligible for the credit guarantee loans. The very word is called credit guarantee loans, but nobody is enjoying that. All of us have pledged our mortgage loans by additional MODT. And what is then credit guarantee? So we are having an issue there. But doesn't
All
matter.
right. While we do know that, various research reports, right. No, I agree with you. And of course, if the demand is not there, what is the point of manufacturing all of this? Nobody is going to buy or help you make money out of it. There are many research surveys that have been done about the fact that yes, there is a lot of demand for the schemes that were announced by the government, but the disbursement has been relatively slow. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, you just heard, what one of the representatives of the SMEs, of the entrepreneur industry had to say. Please respond to what he's saying.
Tanviji, I would like to say that there are many problems due to Corona crisis. In addition, there has been a crisis with regard to the Chinese invasion. It is an unprecedented situation where the government is trying to do its best. The government is done everything within. It has also relaxed fiscal deficit. It is also resorted to borrowing to a very large extent. It has allowed borrowing to the state government also, and the RBI also funded many of the government support systems. Even all the public sector banks have been forced, and the finance ministry is personally monitoring various schemes. Now the question is, out of these benefits, who are being benefited? The first and foremost was the health sector. That was the focus. Second was the poor section, lower strata of the population. And the government has pushed funds into the rural areas, agriculture economy, to the daily wager, ready wala, patri wala, etc. For the large corporate, government thought that the RBI's credit availability they will have problem, but that was the way the government decided and functions. And we have also studied the economic relief packages across the globe. They are of the similar nature. The economic packages are divided into fiscal support, which we have done to the tune of 1,72,000 to the poor sections. Migratory laborers get 50,000 crores. Agriculture sector and the food processing get 1,50,000 crores. Daily wages, ready wala, patri wala, etc. get 3 lakh crores. And in addition to large corporate are getting 9.57 lakh crores.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal,
let me finish. He
save you
talked
some
so much.
breath.
No.
Mr.
You
Gopal
allowed
Agarwal.
him to talk for more than 15 minutes and not.
I am going to give you time. Let me make one point. I am simply saying what you are telling me right now. We've extensively covered and reported this. We've covered every single news briefing, every single announcement.
Have you not covered what are his problems
let's
again?
Let's move a step forward.
Have you? No,
let's move a step forward. Let's talk about what's happening on ground. You have announced these schemes, but people.
No,
let's talk about the issues that are being raised right now. If people are not being able to avail the schemes that you have announced, what's the solution?
The solution is only solution that the Prime Minister and we see is the recovery of the economy, and we are seeing the green shoots of recovery. If you look into the agriculture sector where we focused and pushed money from various schemes and rural areas is seeing recovery. Second thing is we are pushing money to the housing construction, them to come back. Till the time they are not able to come back and they are staying in their remote areas, we are supporting them through Manrega schemes. And about 80 crore people from the country are being supported through the direct ration public distribution system of providing free rations. Even those who do not have ration card. So this is the way economy works and the crisis is taken care of. We are not saying the economic problem have completely been eroded. There is no economic problem.
Of the food grains and the ration and the financial inclusion that you have announced, we've also spoken about how much of it has reached, how much the states have picked up, how much they have delivered or not delivered. I'm sorry, Mr. Gopal Agarwal, this is not a conversation about ensuring that people have food to eat and basic money in their hands to sustain. This is a larger conversation I'm having about the economy today, about reviving the country's business activity and the economic activity and ensuring that there are enough jobs. Giving ration to people is not linked to that. Yes.
Economy is run by large corporate house. Economy is run by the agriculture sector. Economy is run by the
Okay.
pharma sector. This current situation has created certain disruption in certain sectors. Those sectors like hotel industry, transportation industry, etc., are seeing problem. But there are other industry. You see, the pharma sector is showing good recovery. Even automobile is showing good recovery. We are trying to integrate our economy and create risk diversion strategy for manufacturing sector to integrate into global and regional supply chain. Even we have opened defense sector to a large extent for private manufacturing. We have identified clusters of land bank. State government, Uttar Pradesh, etc. I closely work with the Uttar Pradesh government. We have identified land banks, set up a 11-member team to particularly help companies come here. And that's the result, because you see Google supporting 75,000 crores of investment. Then Apple is setting up a $5 billion manufacturing base here. So many, I have talked to many companies in the global arena. They are ready to come and shift manufacturing base. That is where how the economy works. Economy, there are always problems, there are choices, and there are options. I'm saying there are green shoots and there are recovery
all right. Let me
signs.
bring in our other panelist, Mr. Gopal Agarwal. Mr. Gopal Agarwal says, see that investments are coming in. Google just announced about 75,000 crore investment plans for Digital India, of which, of course, 33,000 crore is the deal that they've done with Jio today for a 7% stake in that company. Let me bring in Brinda Jagirdar. Good evening to you, and thank you for patiently waiting by Dr. Jagirdar. You've heard everybody's view. There are two aspects to this. One, of course, is where do we stand today versus where we were in March, and the second one being about a larger economic recovery because we were already in the middle of a bad slowdown before the pandemic hit us.
So, Tanvi, there is no doubt that, and unfortunately, the pain is not equally distributed. It is definitely more on the smaller sections. The MSMEs are really having to bear the brunt of it with the slowdown in the large corporations, which is double whammy for the MSME sector. Now, having said this, let me say that the rate is lower now. It is about 8 to 10% now, as against 25% in April, May, June. In April and May. So, and also there's a Nomura India Business Resumption Index, which shows that the number was about 45 in April, and this index has moved up to 70 in June. So clearly, some things are working somewhere. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, there's a CRISIL report which says that they've surveyed about 50,000, more than 50,000 units, and they say that about 67% of the units are still vulnerable in terms of value. They are still vulnerable. So the pain is not over, and I would agree with the assessment that we are in for a few more quarters of downturn. It's easy to say that there would be negative growth this year. This year is written off. And till about March 21, I think 20 and 21 both will see negative growth. But the only consolation is not only India, the world over, economies have crumbled. But having said that, there are a lot of, this is a time now to focus on implementation. A lot of measures have been announced. It has started to show the impact yet. There was a FICCI and Dhruva Advisors survey which was done for a lot of corporations, the members of FICCI, and that it hasn't impacted the measures announced, hasn't impacted their order book. More than 25% of the capacity. So in such a situation, what we need to do is focus on the implementation, whether refunds have gone, whether the companies are able to borrow, are they able to restart production? I think the whole focus now needs to be on how we implement this and take it forward. If there are any glitches, then we need to set those right. A lot of measures have been announced, a lot more will. The FICCI Dhruva Advisors survey, it says that there are many challenges post-unlocking. 60% of the industry's respondents have said managing cost is a challenge. 59% say weak demand is a challenge. 57% say financial liquidity is a challenge. 40% say supply chain issues are a challenge. And 43% say manpower availability is a challenge. So clearly there are still a lot of challenges left, and we need to address those and to make sure that the measures that have been announced are really implemented.
Okay. The other question that I had, and Nikunj, maybe you can come in on this to begin with. We're also seeing in many cities and now states actually a second round of lockdown. Cities are shutting down for 10 days, 15 days. The entire state of Bihar has announced a shutdown. Pune, Chennai, the Mumbai metropolitan region minus Mumbai. What we are looking at is shutdown region-wise. Is that a big concern? Because your factories may be in one place, your godowns may be at another place, then transport becomes a problem. How is the industry going to view this?
Now, the word is supply chain, and supply chain, for a Maruti car to be produced, there are at least 97 components which are required, and those 97 components are essentially sourced from nearly 16 states. Now, imagine for a car to function, you need all those 96 components. If there is a partial lockdown or a shutdown by cities or states, not only this will have an impact on the supply chain, which is on the supply side, also on the demand side, we are likely to see a major repercussion on that. Tanvir, just when we thought that things were looking up, the confidence to really start spending, start talking about business transaction, when that comes back, and when again, if a lockdown is imposed on you, you suddenly go back to the drawing board and say, okay, do I need to plan? Do I need to conserve, or do I need to preserve? The challenge is that I don't think liquidity is a problem, because Reserve Bank of India has injected a lot of liquidity. The challenge is confidence. The challenge is that everybody is in a silo right now, and people do not want to take hard decisions. So if you frankly ask me that what I see changing in the economy, I see the shape of the economy changing. There would be a problem at the MSE level. There would be some permanent damage at local level. There would be some permanent damage for industries, and those problems will haunt the banking sector for a long, long time. However, every time when the shape of the economy changes, the big get bigger, the efficiencies get better, and the people who do not, or companies and industries who do not do a proper allocation of capital, they tend to get weeded out. That happens in every cycle. First there's participation, then there is euphoria, then there is drop in earnings, and then there is NPAs followed by a fresh risk capital which comes back. So I think the cycle will play itself, but what we need to debate and understand that where are we on the cycle. And one more point, Tanvir, what needs to be done? It needs no introduction. We have a challenge in land, labor, and cost of capital. Till the time these three things are not fixed permanently in a structural manner, we will have these problems, and those problems will continue to haunt us, because remember, we are now competing at global level with a lot of other countries where these problems have got fixed.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think this is going to be a big challenge. Mr. Sabnavis, do you want to add to what Nikunj is saying here? Because the supply chain aspect is very crucial to, any kind of business revival we want to talk about.
See, supply is something which even I mentioned earlier. These kind of partial lockdowns which do bring about a lot of disruption in supply. But we should also remember that for the economy to move, we need both supply and demand to work. I think demand has already been down. I think we've all been talking of how consumption demand has been lagging in the last 3 years. And it looks like that it's going to get permanently damaged this year, because notwithstanding the fact about the numbers of unemployment rates coming down to a single-digit number, the fact remains that if you see the people who have this spending power, people in the organized sector, all of us are working with lower salaries. There have been major pay cuts which have taken place. Lots of people have lost jobs. Companies are not really hiring more than what is required. And today when we are saying work from home means more technology, I require fewer people, I don't require office space, so on and so forth. Those linkages are there. So I think the problem is that we will not be having consumption power. And even if I have it, I'm going to be too scared of spending today. So I think the discretionary spending which is required to boost the economy is something which is going to be missing. And as I mentioned, rural demand, let's not exaggerate what could possibly be happening, because if we have a good kharif harvest, may not result to higher spending. So therefore, I think both supply and demand are the ones which have been buffeted quite badly. And while supply can be addressed by the government, the demand cannot really. It has to something which has to be generated on its own, which happens when the economy revives. And that's why we would tend to think that 2021 is going to be a very damp year. And even 21-22, I think, except for statistical reasons for the numbers being better, I really don't see things really picking up significantly in terms of more jobs being created and more money being spent.
So let me ask you this question. At this point of time, Mr. Sabnavez, do you see, more government support needed, or is it something that the market has to find its own way from here on?
See, ideally, I think as economists, people who we believe in this Keynesian theory of saying the government should have actually spent a lot. They should have said, I'm spending another 2-3% on infrastructure. Doesn't matter if the fiscal deficit goes to 10%. Because even today, I think 3.5% is not going to be met. And what the government is at, and we are actually expecting the fiscal deficit to be 8%, mainly because your revenues are falling and you will have no control over that. I think the government should have been more aggressive in spending, so that economic package should have had something on the demand side. It's been more a case of incentivizing. Of course, that's a model which the government has always been following. We enable production, but we're not going to get directly into spending money. I think that's been a good thing from the point of view of economic discipline, fiscal discipline, but from the point of view of economic growth, definitely that's been pushed back, because the government is the only entity which can spend. They can borrow at a low cost. There's surplus liquidity. Banks are willing to invest in government paper. Everybody's happy about investing in government paper. The government should have been a bit more aggressive.
Okay, Mr. Raghunathan, you wanted to make a point? Go ahead, please.
See, Tanvi, let's understand the biggest problem for an industry to function. I'm only limiting to micro and small enterprises. The Q2 and Q3 in any year is been always more payouts than incomes, because of the climate, because of the seasonal festival seasons and the payouts. Now, these 2 quarters is going to be very tough. I have been requesting the government on behalf of the CIA that we need the government to pass immediately a direction that all this year's budget of their expenditure must be spent before December, so that some throttling is done in the market. Second is, we have to have 2 kind of solutions. One is a solution which is fiscal. Second is a solution which is tactical. When you talk about fiscal solution, just not giving the loan, but we must have a financial flows being collected from each and every MSME over the next 2 years, and some may have to be funded through capital, and second, some may have to be funded through long-term financial flows. Then the second one is, we have to create the certain level playing ground for the micro industries, because under the reclassification of the industries, micro and small has become very crowded now with too many players in it. So some of the advantages which the government gave earlier to the SME, micro and small enterprises, is no longer will be reaching the micro enterprises. Then in terms of tactical issues, then what we need to do is, some will revive, but whether will they revive with profitability is a concern. So we need to practice 7D model. The 7 Ds are digitalized, disruptive models, deceptively gain market reputation, demonetize by driving out all the avoidable costs, dematerialize by making more out of less, and delocalize by making physical location irrelevant, and demarketize by making prices affordable as scale rises. We have to now compete. Compete with whom? Compete with each other. And not only with each other, but also with the outside the country, with Chinese products. Now that the Chinese ban is coming up, Chinese sentiments are going against, and we need to build. Expectations are very high from Indian manufacturers now to give the product at lower price. But how do we function? We need the cranking. The initial cranking is needed. The initial push is needed, not in terms of just the loan, but in terms of the ordering. And what can do by the government do is, this year budget of yours spend in the next 6 months. Please do that. That will throttle us for a while. It will give us some amount of a happiness to work for us. That is the problem.
Okay, I know Mr. Gopal Agarwal wants to make a point, but Mr. Agarwal, just 2 more minutes, because I just want Dr. Jagirdar to also respond on this question that I asked about whether the steps that have been taken by the government are going to be enough. Is there more that is required at this point, or will the market find its own way? Dr. Jagirdar.
you can't leave this situation to the market. Government definitely needs to step in. And I think some more steps, like for example, you need to put money into the hands of the people. So in terms of either direct cash transfer, basic mid-income, income, or even in terms of banks becoming more proactive. Banks are in the business of lending, and I think that's what they will have to do. Not reckless lending. I'm definitely not supporting that. But yes, we need to go out and handhold the industry which needs support at the moment. And then sector-specific support needs to be given. Auto, for example, housing, for example, infrastructure. So these industries which have a lot of multiplier effect will really be able to have a bigger effect on the economy. But having said that, the pain is definitely not going to go away soon. It is there for a few more months to come, for more quarters to come, and I think a lot more needs to be done. Already, companies are saying, we don't. Please don't ask us to disclose Q1 results. Let us do Q1 and Q2 together, so that the pain is not. It would give an exaggerated view. So a lot of the concessions that the industry is asking for needs to be looked at. I think we need to look at some more. The government definitely can be more aggressive, and but when it comes to competition, your panelists mentioned something about supply chain and competition. Yes, we need government support, but I think industries also have to become more efficient. Right now, there are three major hubs of supply chain: China, US, and Germany. So we need to get into one of these, and for that, and a lot of industries which want to leave China, move out of China, they would look to come to India, but we have to give them a really ease of doing business has to be very real. We have to give them an environment where they would want to come and invest over here. So we require a better environment as well as more efficiency. We have to become efficient if we want to get into the global supply chains. So I think a lot of work also needs to be done at the level of the industries. But right now, it's the government which needs to be more proactive.
Okay, Mr. Gopal Agarwal, go ahead, please. Make your point and respond to what others have said here about the government needing to be more proactive.
One thing I agree with many of the panelists is that government has to do more things, and I assure them, everybody, that the government is not sitting idle. It will definitely do more things. This is not the last thing that this Atmanirbhar Bharat is seeing, this economic package. There are many more to come as the economy will move, as the requirement will move. Prime Minister has said that we will continuously act on it. One thing. Second thing is, when the resources are limited or constrained, then where you allocate those resources where the movement of money is more. So the government is pushing that money, volatility of the money is more. So government is putting more liquidity into the lower strata of the population. One thing that will create demand, but there are other ways through which we are trying to build demand for the medium and small MSME and other industries. And those who are saying that the government is only providing credit to the manufacturing, it is not that. Only the large corporate houses through RBI and bank have been given 9.57. Others are getting capital support and all those things. Even the credit guarantee, all those things are there. The third thing that I want to tell you is the government is also trying to protect the domestic market demand. You see, in 135 items, the government has increased import duty. And we are happy. Many of the products from China, which we were importing, were such like toys, electrical equipment, electronics, minerals, fertilizers, iron and steel, musical instruments. Now the industry should, I have been telling to the industry, why they were not asking for level playing field. We are working on creating a level playing field for the industries. We are trying to stop import from China, and we are using anti-dumping duties, etc. And we are now even working on FTA, reworking those free trade agreement in ASEAN, which has destroyed our manufacturing. At the same time, we have come out and not signed RCEP, which would have further deteriorated our position vis-a-vis China. So we are protecting domestic demand, increasing import duty, putting up non-tariff barriers on 135 items, not signed RCEP, FTA free trade agreement are being reworked, and level playing field factors of production like land, power, labor reforms, and logistic cost. All those I can list on with where we are working to increase competitiveness of our manufacturing. Third thing on the demand side, I like to tell you is we are opening the defense, almost 20 lakh crore procurement of the defense sector. The government has said that we will reserve and open it for MSME and domestic manufacturing. Even the global tenders up to 200 crores have been stopped. Those tenders from the government has been stopped to go to global players. And these things are helping in even infrastructure, national infrastructure pipeline. No fund is being reduced. Many of the infrastructure projects are being done as per requirement. So government is not only understanding that the fund constraint of fiscal deficit, we have done away with it. Clause 6 under the fiscal responsibility escape clause, we are using it under the fiscal responsibility and management bill. We are resorting to large scale borrowing. It was 67% of GDP. We are increasing it to 80 to 90%. So we are taking 360 degrees support steps to do it, and still if more is needed we will do. There will be no resource
Okay,
constraint.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, I take your point. I know you have listed out a lot of steps that you are taking. I take your point, but I must say that in my entire career, and especially the years that I spent covering business as a business journalist, I have actually never seen a time where there are more economist voices and expert voices who are asking the government to go overboard with its spending because it's required at this point of time. The government is the one which is saying, no, this is going to be our target and this is as much of borrowing that we're going to look at this point of time. But that's the government's stated policy, and that's what they have decided to do. Very quickly, before I wrap this up, Nikunj, on the point that was raised by the BJP about steps being taken to make our own companies a lot more competent, to enable them an atmosphere where they can grow their business and replace the Chinese goods. What's been the sense within the industry? If an auto manufacturer is getting half its components at a much cheaper price from China, or even a mobile phone manufacturer, where are they going to find the alternative right away if we shut down China?
You're absolutely right. We try to think that by putting these artificial barriers and by moving the center of gravity from China to India, we in a sense are going to be seeing a reboot of local manufacturing. Look, manufacturing is a function of availability, talent, skill, land, labor, and ease of doing business. There are some aspects in which India is not competitive, and I've just mentioned some of the factors there. I think rather than just creating these artificial guardrails where we say we will not let you import toys, we will not let you import API, we will not let you import auto components, you're not going to go anywhere, because that is not a permanent solution. The solution is that you need to make the industry much more competitive. And I'm afraid, I may like to remind everybody here, is that there was a Made in India pitch which government in the earlier administration had, and we've not really seen anything proactively moving on that. This time there is a serious opportunity because there is an anti-China rhetoric. If we are able to increase some big sectors, attract a lot of foreign capital, area of food processing, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about areas where, how artificial intelligence, the skilling and the chemistry of India can be used. I think if you're trying to really control everything and anything coming from China, Tanvi, that's going to backfire, because there are some categories in which we are just not productive. You need to work on what you're good at. You need to make things where you have an excellent advantage, and you need to actually move up the value chain in terms of high value added chain, rather than curtailing entry level products which are coming from China. I would say we should focus on high end productivity and focus on things where we can really make a lot of difference. Otherwise, when we are getting an opportunity to really come out when others are suffering with the advantage of low interest rates and advantage of low oil, I think it would be lost if we don't get our act together.
Oh yes, absolutely. You're completely right there, and you know the point that you made that there are some categories where it can't be immediate. There has to be a well laid out plan and a vision. Alternate options, even to our manufacturers, have to be provided wherever they're sourcing from. It has to cost wise also make sense for them. But thank you so much to all of our panelists who've joined us on this conversation. A quick check on the state of our economy, something that the Mirror Now team here on Urban Debate does constantly. Suffice to say, viewers, almost everybody is in agreement that it's going to be a tough road ahead. Don't be mistaken at all. Even if we've begun to unlock, we are far, far away from what would be a normal situation and a good, healthy economic situation. And that road to recovery is going to be extremely challenging. Add to that the fact that even now, as corona cases continue to spike in many cities, there are city-wise and district-wise and state-wise shutdowns that keep getting announced, which is further going to impact, renewing our economic activities. So the journey is going to be a tough one. The government needs to be on its toes to provide whatever support it can to the industry, to the farmers, and to the consumers. Otherwise, it's just going to get more difficult even from here on. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.